What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Straight No Chaser Cowboys podcast. You know, the greatest podcast known to man. And so we got a good one lined up for you. We got the week two. We got our work cut out for us a little bit. We're going to talk about some of the things that we experienced last week, some of the things that's to look forward to going forward against the El Gigantes. So,
Indeed.
gentlemen, first and foremost, how we doing?
Good morning. Good morning. Doing pretty good, man. It was a full sports day all day yesterday, well into the night if you're a boxing fan. So,
Oh, yeah, for
uh,
sure.
but looking forward to chopping this one up, man. Like I said, got a work cut out for us, but feeling pretty good going into this one, man. Cowboys gonna get this dub.
There you go, JC. What's up, man? How you feeling?
Man, what's good, fellas? Just chilling here in West Hamilton Park studio adjunct, straight on chaser, and can't wait to get it started. I mean, it's so funny because for the first 3 years, at the end of every single year, I'll say, hey, we stood in the same spot, 12-5, 12-5, 12-5. And now it's almost like prior to 2020, coming off of 2020, losing season, new coach and that kind of thing. So, just really looking forward to jumping into it. Last week's game, super interesting. And as many times as I've referred to, wins over the Giants being the equivalent of money shot free porn. Hey, it's still NFL football, boys.
Hey, Joey with the intro.
That's pretty accurate.
It really was.
That's pretty accurate. Sorry for the kids watching. Grown folk talking. And that's true.
That is hilarious.
Just don't hit the same. How they say? They don't hit the same.
They're not.
All right, so go ahead.
The Giants are the new Arizona Cardinals, basically. It's
fair.
you need to win these games. Don't get it twisted, but of course, as soon as I say that, I mean, I don't know how many in a row that they've won against the Giants, but hey, there's the whole do theory. So obviously, we'll recap and get into the Giants a little bit later in the show. But great to be here. A great day in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So okay, let's go ahead and hop into it, man. I know we've had like about a 10-day rest, so it seems like eternity ago since we last played a football game. Mm-hmm. And let's again, one thing I want to do every week is hold our views into account for the previous week. And so let's talk about it, man. So taking the L to the Giants, we all predicted the L. That's what happened.
Eagles.
Yeah, sorry, Eagles. Damn.
Yeah.
My mind is on Neptune. I stayed up too late watching the fight. Yeah. But no, so listen, man, we keep it real over here. We all predicted the L. Now it's almost like we snatched a victory from the jaws of. We snatched a loss from the jaws of victory. It felt that way. If obviously a few balls bounced the right way to Sedarian Lamb, but we're not going to lambaste him. So takeaways, gentlemen. So we lost by less than a score. Well, by one score. We had opportunities to win at probably by 2 touchdowns, if we're being honest here. Some of the key takeaways you've seen, because you know how people are going to say, there's no such thing as moral victories, but you know how I rock over here. Moral victories do exist, goddammit. They just do, because I play sports, and you go look at the film, there's things you can learn from the film and things you can get better on. Fans ain't trying to hear that shit, but in the real nose room, there's a such thing as moral victories. D. Brown, I'll kick it to you first, man. Takeaways from the game.
Sure. So, man, the thing that was interesting was, and I think I touched on this on the show, and even amongst people that I spoke with prior to the game coming on, is that there was one the I can't remember the last time I went into the beginning, a Cowboys opener, and had like absolutely no idea what I was going to see. Right? There was so many open questions as to what was going to roll out there, in terms of like just new personnel, returning personnel, new coach, new coordinators. I mean, just the whole shot. So young players, draftees, just the whole deal. And my initial takeaway was I was pleasantly surprised by how, and actually impressed by how prepared they were. it did suck to what you alluded to, and I know we talked privately during the week, and Joey brought it up. That they certainly left. I don't think they left meat on the table. I think they left a whole plate on the table, it ended up biting them in the butt. But I was pretty impressed, and encouraged by some things that I saw. One was how prepared they were to play, which is obviously a big game against the defending champs on the road, and everything that went into that. I think the consensus nationally was that the Cowboys are going to get bus rolled, and and then that was amplified by the big trade, and then so you just go in and just like, man, what are we going to see? And I was impressed by that. I did like the presence and the somewhat of the consistency of a run game, right? Particularly in the red. That's something that has bitten this team a lot, even in the 12-5 seasons with McCarthy, is that we really didn't look for, or we really didn't see a lot of consistency with being able to without the gadget plays or the misdirection of the jet sweeps, or the hard fades or any of that stuff. Just turn around, hand the ball, to the running back, and you run it, in the A gap and just punch it right in at the goal line. It was awesome to see that, and I was glad to see, even as the game went on, how they were just turning around and just firing off the ball and sticking with those 3 and 4 yard tough runs. I thought Dak was particularly sharp. He was another big question mark, man. He got hurt early in the season last year, hadn't seen the field, and I thought QB1 was pretty sharp. I thought QB1 was really sharp, and we talked about the unfortunate drops, and of course you had the killer fumble that I think ultimately doomed them. What was a tough game, but overall, man, I'm with you. The hell with moral victories. Because you really wanted that game for all the reasons other than, the fact that you wanted them to win. 2, it's a division game. That game could very well be important when they see each other later in the year. So, but it's, and I don't like, they didn't kick our ass that bad. I'm not that guy either. But I did like what I saw, and I was like, man, this they might have something going forward in terms of run game, in terms of Dak being sharp, and lastly, just I think Shotty having them prepared. Now, but before you kick it over to Joey, man, I will say this: I think we still got to find. I know he got some guys to get back, particularly Overshown, which I think he would have played a huge part in the contest last Sunday. But
absolutely,
I want to see a little more consistency. Whatever they adjusted to in the second half in terms of the Philly run game was pretty awesome, because when was the last time that we saw a Dallas defense, take a A-list running back like Saquon and hitting him at or behind the line of scrimmage when they hand the ball off to him? Yeah, that was, and second half was really Saquon's signature. Last season, he really just didn't get off, man. And so they, the fact they were able to adjust and contain a guy that good at running the football with a line that good at blocking for the running back, it was another, positive takeaway. But I like to see them have a little bit more consistency with, stopping the run. Maybe we see a little bit of Jaden Blue, maybe some new wrinkles, with him out in space and what have you. So there's still more questions. As I landed, there's still more questions that you'd like to see answered, and at least get a feel for what this thing is going to be. But I think there was far more positive takeaways, even in an L, than negative.
There it is. JC, what you got for us?
I think that it was. I felt like that the game would be a lot closer than people thought that it would be, and it was. These are games within the division, and teams really know each other, and they're so familiar with one another, and people will look at a matchup on paper, and again, you get caught up in this wave of the Cowboys are trash. Again, what they are is a team in transition, and they still have quite a few good players. I think that, again, as I said, leading up to this and prior to week one, that we were really going to put Schottenheimer under the microscope.
Mm-hmm.
I got to give him kudos. I didn't see any gaffes. I didn't see any mismanaging of challenges. I really liked the way that, he used the clock. I liked, again, what we talk about, the commitment to the run game. I think we saw that Williams maybe has a little bit more left than people thought.
Mm-hmm.
They stayed with that thing. The numbers with him weren't gaudy. 21 for 75, somewhere in there. But again, that's what we talked about, being able to consistently utilize the run game. I was impressed with the offensive line. No sacks, although, Dak had to move around a little bit. That was also very impressive. I mean, he really brought his A game, and it shows just how different that football team is when he's playing quarterback. I mean, I think his division record is second only to Pat Mahomes, in terms of win percentage. It's 750 or something like that, which, I mean, that's ungodly. And again, you see the difference when he is out there taking snaps. And I thought he was fantastic. I would give him a 99. I think he had one gaffe, I thought, on the one pass that kind of almost got picked up, but that's clearly nitpicking because the guy was on his game, But when you see, what ends up being the difference between winning and losing is mistakes. Teams that drop passes, teams that commit turnovers, they're losers. Who led the NFL in drop passes last year? Cleveland. And I watched Cleveland play this weekend, and they should have beaten Cincinnati. They should have beaten Cincinnati. Dropped passes, and a dropped pass where a guy dropped a pass he should have caught instead of caromed into the air. Cincinnati picks it off, ball game.
Yep.
And it's these mistakes, and you just cannot overcome them when you're a team in transition. But again, the Eagles made mistakes too.
They did.
Obviously, the incident with the big defensive tackle, when he spat on Dak Prescott, that's a mistake that they made. Gives the Cowboys, it removes him, from the interior because he gets ejected, and it gives them 15 yards and puts you pretty close to midfield. That's an offensive coordinator's dream. That's the sweet spot, And so then they come out and they look very methodical, very impressive on the first couple of drives. I mean, it was a tale of two halves. It's like you want to pull it all together, like our local baseball consortium here. They either can pitch, they can't hit, or they can hit and the pitching's bad. You want to be able to put it all together. And in the first half, it was like, okay, man, the offense, just 20 points in the first half. But you gave up 21 in the first half. So then everything, you have the delay, everything kind of bogs down, and the defense was much, much better in the second half. But then the offense struggled. And it was really, like we always say, every football game has its own life. It's its own entity. And that one was kind of weird. That was kind of a weird game with what started the game, then having the 64-minute delay, and then the way that the thing ended. And again, if CD catches that one, particularly the deep one, which was, man, that was a great throw by Prescott. He splits those guys. Yeah, he splits those guys and scores. I've seen him do that before. He splits those guys and scores, one of those ones where he's walking in, waving you in, right? And he just makes it look so effortless. Now, Philadelphia would have gotten the ball back. Okay, so you don't know what would have happened then, but it's just, in a way, it's like you said, I would rather play poorly and get a win, than play well and get a loss. It's still a loss, but it's a long season. And as man, like, y'all damn near had to talk me off the ledge after this one because it felt like we were so close. The Cowboys were so close to getting this win, and they felt like they should have won, and did not. But then it kind of gets back to, what we said. We want to see incremental improvement. Incremental improvement. I think some of the things that we talked about in the pre-show meeting, commitment to the run game, and now this week we would really like to get Pickens going. Should have a chance to do that. The Giants have an excellent front seven. but their secondary is suspect at best. And so it's a work in progress. And I still think that all in all, I would, it's better than coming out and just looking god awful. It's better than pulling a Miami, right? Miami, they lose 33-8 to Indianapolis of all people. And Daniel Jones is like, whoa, at least there's a feeling, I think, that we're heading in the right direction. Okay. But it's almost like it's a rebirth, almost as though the team has to actually learn how to win close games against good teams, because every year, man, it's a completely different cast. Every football team turns over by 20 to 25%. Lose some, you gain some. Guys are rookies. And I think that we're seeing the culture take hold, in terms of the way Schottenheimer's going to do things. I was very impressed. Yeah. Again, looking forward to seeing, how he handles business today. Again, the race is never to the swift; it's always to the strong. But yeah, it's an L, and it sucks. But long season, and I think there are some things to be really optimistic and excited about.
Okay, there it is, man. And so, yeah, I think you guys crystallizes the sentiment pretty well. And I guess my takeaway is this: I try to stay in the moment. And by that I mean, before the game, I was expecting either a whole ball of chaos or watching a competent football team. And I got the competent football team cup. So, D. Brown, to your point, I know you were saying, forget the moral victories. But I do remember what my mindset was, too, having so many question marks after coming off a huge trade, of one Micah Parsons, that there were just – it was – you really couldn't put a gauge on what to expect, come Thursday night, right? Absolutely. So from what I saw was, to just go top down from Coach Shoddy, man, just a great coach game, man. Came out with misdirection early, kept them guessing. We talked about that before the show with the pre-snap reads and keeping guys in motion. Shoddy looked very competent, very comfortable at old ball coach. And so I'm just not used to games where we're scoring touchdowns back-to-back off rip. I'm not used to seeing that shit. And I'm happy to see it because now, because that's what good football teams are used to doing. Scoring in your opening drives, scoring and keeping guys on their heels. We came out 2 touchdowns in a row. I'm like, shit, who the hell didn't, kidnap my damn Cowboys? Who the hell are these guys?
Right. Imposters. Right.
This some shit I can get behind all year long. Right. So then we got a little stagnated, with the storm. We come out with 2 field goals. But still, like, we're there blow for blow, punch for punch with the defending world champions and our division rival week 1. When there's a lot of question marks, yes, they're starting DTs out, making a stupid decision. Hey, as my homeboy James Ferris would say, not my problem. So at the end of the day, it got you typing, JC, or something. So at the end of the day, the Cowboys came out before the delay and we looked sharp. We looked good. Yeah. And that's something that we can build forward. So, like when you were saying again, more victories, if I'm looking at film, if I'm just taking things in the moment, I'm perfectly happy with that. Because you gotta think about this too. The Cowboys, we're the only team that we have to win on the field. We got to win public opinion. We got to win in the social media weeds. So it's a lot. Because think about it. People were saying that we're going to get our tails kicked because, Micah Parsons is gone and Micah had this was after the fact. He had a really impactful fourth quarter. So, a lot of things ride on the Cowboys performing well. And I thought, listen, man, from a few CD Lamb drops, it was almost a 2-score win, in my opinion. And also from a standpoint of, like you said, Dak Prescott was hella impressive because, coming off an injury season, we don't know what to expect. We don't know if he's still comfortable in the pocket. Does he trust the pocket? Because we got a lot of young guys, rebuilding that O-line. Zach Martin is no longer there, right?
Right.
So, yeah. So I was very impressed with that. Now, the run game leaves some question marks. Williams looked very sharp. And Sands that walk down fumble, I don't know what the hell that was about.
Right.
You're getting walked down by a 4'6" linebacker. What are you doing? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Exactly.
That was.
We can't have those things, but you know, we're an easy team to nitpick. Every mistake feels tenfold when it's the Cowboys. It is what it is. You call me a homer. It is what it is. You watch a football game, you'll watch all kind of mistakes. You watch Mahomes in who they played game 1 out there in Brazil. It's you know, it wasn't a sexy football game, huh?
Was it the Chargers, correct?
Chargers, yeah, out there in Brazil.
Yeah.
So people tend to, you know, when you have the favor of the fan lord to overlook other people's mistakes. But the Cowboys, we don't have a lot of room to make any mistakes. And so, with all that being said, man, I was very, encouraged. Also,
indeed,
with because we have a hodgepodge edge rushing room. Listen, all things considered, especially second half, we look damn good. And I told y'all before the last game, I'm looking for James Houston to contribute.
Indeed,
he was getting off that damn edge, boy, in the second half.
I loved it.
Yeah, so it's a kid I've seen play since his last year in college was at Jackson State. He's consistently been there. He can't stop the run and save his damn life, but one thing he can do, you watch his hand work. He's really quick getting out the break.
Right.
Gets in that backfield, and so man, it was good to validate what I've been seeing for a long time came to fruition. And lastly, I would say too, one thing to see going forward, can Pickens get more separation? Can he start to, can Dak trust him with more throws? Because, I mean, obviously he's still going to go to CD. I mean, why would you not? But I'm encouraged by what I saw ultimately. I didn't think we would lay down because, again, Darren, we talked about this months ago. Coach Schottenheimer, something about his messaging, man, it just seemed different. I'm sorry, it did. He talked about accountability. He talked about working that film room and actually, coming up with plays to benefit the roster. That's something we didn't see with McCarthy, man. It just was their vanilla offense. We saw, with Linehan was there under Jason Garrett. Exactly.
My bad. My bad.
Hey, it was just good to me just letting playing here. It was just damn good to see competence with my Dallas Cowboys, man. So that's why I say it's a moral victory for me slightly. But and lastly, we tend to play the Eagles well, and no matter who is way better, we're probably gonna split. So if that's what game 1 looked like, I can get behind that. I can get behind that.
That's a good point. Before we step to the next point, I love the point you brought up about the coaching piece when you said calling plays to the personnel, right? Because the big gripe that this is on record, the huge gripe I had with Scott Linehan, and even to a degree with McCarthy is like they move in the fashion like, look, this is a play that will work. Y'all need to run it, right? As opposed to because I've concepted this in my head. This will work. It's like, but you may not have the personnel to execute that. Not only the play, but in a given situation. I thought just, from a small sample size of game 1, I thought Shotty did a real good job, to your point, of calling plays and managing situations, given the personnel. Like, I remember 6-8 times that game, and you're looking, at down and distance, and they run a particular play, and they're like, damn, that's a good call right there. You know what I mean? And that's run and pass. So if to your latter point, man, if this is a snapshot of what we're gonna see, down as this season progresses, sign me up for this. I can get behind it for sure.
Any last parting words before we move on, JP?
I thought that some questions were on their way to being answered with Guyton, with Diggs. Was he going to be able to hold up? And also, I will say, in closing, I'd like to see a little bit more of James Houston too. They're going to have to hot hand this pass rushing thing. I saw some good things. Out of Sam Williams in pursuit. He was going up against their best tackle, their best lineman in Lane Johnson. Okay, so that's what you're going to have a long day with that. I thought Ezraku on at least one play did a little, swim dip up and under, and he got there, and Hurts made a miss. I thought Guyton held up really, really well. I thought Elam besides the one, big play to Smith, which again, man, my old ass would be hard to cover one-on-one on a post. It's just a post one-on-one. It's just a hard route to cover. Not to make excuses, but I felt like some questions were on their way to being answered. We had some questions about literally whether or not guys could hold up. Like I said, Guyton, Diggs, Elam, and I thought we got some contributions from the new guys on the interior. I thought Solly Thomas was pretty good. I thought Clark showed, why he's that guy. A lot of the runs, were kind of boundary runs where Saquon did well. I thought they really made some adjustments and they closed that middle down. Mm-hmm. And so, once again, not to belabor the point, a lot of good things to build on. And, it's such a week-to-week league. Until we get deeper into the season, we're not going to know if those guys that we wondered if they could hold up, that held up well in week one, we're not going to know if they're going to be able to hold up for the entirety of the season. And one final plus, no injuries.
There you go.
So that's always a good thing.
Massive plus.
There we go. I like it. And guys, as we move forward, y'all excuse me. Make sure y'all hit the like button, guys. You're getting the Cowboys content where you're not getting nowhere else. You're getting in-depth talking points. We spent like 2 minutes on CeeDee Lamb. You're gonna go to some place, they're gonna talk about CeeDee Lamb all podcast long. Like there's not 10 other guys on the offensive side of the ball. So that's not what the like. I don't know what it is. I'm just saying. All right, moving forward, guys. So let's talk about it, man. The offense looks pretty good at running back by committee. Had one explosive play that ended in tragedy. Let's talk about it, man. There's been so everybody wants to see, what our new maybe Ferrari we got, on layaway with one Jaden Blue. Coach Schottenheimer said that he needs to put good. We got him on layaway right now. You know what I mean? It's a second owner. You know what I'm saying? But it could probably be something. Right. It ain't fresh off the lot. Right. But so Coach Schottenheimer had, noted that he needs to put good days together, that he's, lacking consistency. We hear the same thing with Big Mozzie on the other side of the So question, guys, does Jaden Blue have an opportunity to come in and to give this running back room that big playability that we can consistently see? And just basically give more firepower to our running back room. Jim, your thoughts?
I mean, I was wishing that Sanders was blue. On that route, I was like, God, I wish that was Blue. And Blue missed a little bit of time, and in camp, and if coaches don't like putting guys in, that are rookies that haven't practiced. They just don't like doing it. I'm hoping that situation will work itself out, and I hope we at least see some of him today, and as well as my man James Houston, see a little bit more of him today. With the Giants, hey man, that's the best defensive line, certainly in the division, probably in the league. When you look at Barnes, you look at Thibodeau, and of course, Big Dexter Lawrence in the middle, and now you add Abdul Carter to that. This is a salty bunch. It's the strength of their football team. Yep. They have been trying to figure out that offensive line just forever. It seems like it's been just a big problem with them. And then, of course, the guy taking snaps is a problem. And it's got to kill Giant fan, right, to see Daniel Jones light up Miami and watch Saquon Barkley win the Super Bowl, right? Yeah. I mean, can you imagine that, right? Well, neither one of these guys are going to work, right? And then, of course, they go somewhere else, and they have some success. And again, we'll see on Daniel Jones. But it's just they have, so much turnover there. And I think the extremely Canadian Brian Dable, I happen to think he's a pretty good coach. Okay. Again, it's when you have issues like offensive line and secondary, Lord Jesus, those are tough, man, because it is a passing league. All right. And you got to be able to defend the pass. We've always said, if you play left tackle when you suck, the world knows. If you play corner and you're not any good, the world knows. There's none of that. Well, we get him in there at guard. There's none of that, man. Those are the premier positions. And I think, for them, there's talent over there. You hate to be cliche and say, well, those guys are pros too. But they got some guys up front. Again, if I've said for the longest time, I mean, I like Malik Neighbors, like him a ton. I think they've got that kid they picked up in the 4th round last year that plays in the slot for them. I think he's good. I think Slayton is still over there. He's a pretty good wide receiver. I've said for years, man, they need a tight end like nobody's business. And you can see, like you see how active Dallas Goedert was. When the Cowboys took away the catch on the outside, hey man, it's like, okay, who's open? You got to give Hurts credit on that. Throw it to Goedert. Right? We saw, and I remember even texting you guys about it. When Green Bay played, it's like, Jesus, man, somebody covered a damn tight end. And I do like Tracy in the run game for them, but hey, like you were saying earlier, not my problem. Sorry about your bad luck. This is one of the Cowboys need to win. They need to come out and press their advantage, which is on the outside, on the perimeter, with Pickens and with Lamb. Lamb, I mean, yeah, tough game, but God, he was cold chilling before that. I mean, that guy, the whole freaking universe knows that Prescott's going to go to him, and he still gets open. He still gets open. He still is the bell cow of your passing game and the bell cow of your offense. So, obviously, yes, Schottenheimer said, yeah, man, we're good. We're going to go to CD early again. When he dropped the passes, they came right back to him. And that's respect. Like I can remember, I was a volume shooter when I played JUCO, and I can remember, one game I wasn't having a particularly good game, but they kept getting it to me. Allowing me to miss. Allowing me to go 7 for 21. And that shows great confidence. And kind of, hey, man, we know what it is. Right? We've got that advantage. We're going to press it, feed CD. I also am liking a lot of the things that we talked about last year that I think that Coach Schottenheimer is doing, getting Turpin involved a little bit more.
Absolutely.
And I just will say this. I like the intensity. I like the intensity they had, man. They were getting after it. Everybody was into it from jump, from when Smith walked up on Booker. He was trying to get into kind of, the spitting incident. He walked up on Booker and was kind of chirping at him a little bit, right? And so Dak stepped up and it's like, hey, man, that's my guy. Get out of our huddle, that kind of stuff. And then I think you saw the chippiness during the game. Like I remember, Turpin catches that pass. He's like, get off me, right? He said, yeah, him and DeGene are woofing. And you like to see that. You like to see guys being excited, like I was watching Notre Dame and A&M last night, and the A&M guys were excited, making plays, and it's getting really chippy. Man, it's still, regardless of all of the gentrification of the game, it's still a very violent and very physical game, and so you strap it up and you come to play, particularly against opponents within the division. You know them, they know you. All right. Yeah, the Giants have some guys, but come out, jump on them early. This is going to be actually, and again, you can be a naysayer. Well, the Eagles didn't have Smith in the middle, so in all actuality, how well did the offensive line do? Today, I think we'll get more answers to those questions. I do think the Giants have the best defensive line in the league, and so that's going to be a test in and of itself.
Okay. D Brown, we start with the running back, and you can go where you want to go about the insights for the day.
Oh, real quick on the running back. If I just want to get this in, I mentioned this to you guys.
You talking about the running back.
I know. Just real quick. The Eagles, with those running back room is seemingly unbelievably healthy and strong. They make a trade for Tank Bigsby from Jacksonville. He's a middling guy, 800 yards. Yeah. And I swear to God, the first thing I thought of, they did that shit to keep Dallas from getting him. It's like some of me believe, it's Dallas, we love conspiracies, but again, yeah, I didn't
Machiavellian shit right there, man.
Yeah, I didn't want to let that go when you said running back group, because I know I wanted to talk about that. And but again, as I land the plane and throw it to my guy, right? It's just really interesting the way those guys do business. I don't put anything past Philadelphia at all.
For sure.
As I said, they're the blueprint. And but hey, that was in the rear view. Time for the Giants. And let's go out and get a W, man. Let's get this thing back on track.
Absolutely. D Brown, Mike is yours.
On the running back piece, to the question you asked, yes, I do think Jaden Blue will provide that big play pop, that ability. I can fully appreciate where Shotty's head is in terms of him needing to show him and the staff that consistency that they're looking for. In any coaching level, coaches play, who they can trust, right? We see it in every sport that we watch. But he is an electric guy, and when he does get his shot, and hopefully that's today, because I would certainly like to see him get 10, 15 snaps. Just some of the things that he can do, not only handing the ball off to him, but, getting guys, and I think we touched on it last week, getting them match up in space. He's one of those, catch the ball, in space on the move, make a guy miss, and then next step, he's gone, right? It will not be a Miles Sanders situation. So, yeah, I certainly think he can add some diversity that way in terms of that big play ability, because, when you have the ability and at least the threat of making the play from anywhere on the field, and particularly in the backfield, it just kind of permeates and opens up a lot of different things for your offense. And I like the point that was made from Joey about Turpin, right? I mean, the fact that they're using him and looking to get the ball in his hands because he has that ability. Diminutive as he is, he still has that ability, man. I mean, if he puts 3 steps together and you hadn't gotten to him yet, it could be a problem. So you need that. And I know we touched on it in last week's show about the lack of big plays, which for those watching, big plays is defined in the NFL as plays that are 20 yards or more. Dallas was woeful in that department. I mean, one of the absolute, if not the worst in the league. And, even with the plays that they did make, and even the plays that they missed on the drops, I mean, you're talking 30 and 40-yard plays. Of course, you rip off the big run, which is a 50-yarder, again, which likely gets housed, if the other guy's carrying the ball. So I think, that's one of the wrinkles, maybe to offset to Joey's point, like how good, because I agree with Joey 100%. I think this is probably, if it's not the best defensive front in football and that the Cowboys will see this season, it's no worse than second or third. I mean, that's a really salty group. And like you said, Joe, we're gonna find out a lot about that young Cowboys offensive line is coming into his own, and the run game is where you can really test their mettle when you're going up against guys that formidable, on the defensive front, because that's nothing more than a test of wills. Your technique and everything is there, man, but you got to want to hit those guys and make it happen. And, maybe Shotty is wanting to see, we've all watched the game long enough to know that, big plays a lot of times come from patience when you're not looking for them, when you do the right things and make the right cut and let a hole develop and what have you. And maybe that's some of the consistency that Shotty and the staff want to see from him, is not to look for the big play each time he touches the ball, because that's a big expectation from him, to have that patience on 3, 4, 6-yard run, and then pop, do the right things, on the play, and then he's gone. Right. So hopefully we get to see that. And maybe, if they're getting the best of Dallas up front, particularly early, drop one of those, maybe a screen pass or two to him behind him, let that rush get upfield, drop it behind him, get guys out of space. You got good blocking receivers in Pickens and CD, you make a block and he hits it that way. So it'll be real interesting to see. But I think he's definitely going to add some pop to that room.
You'd think middle screen would be open with those guys on the outside.
Correct.
Try a middle screen. The outside's getting attention. I love it. I would like to see more screen passes, and I would like to see more blue. So I agree 100% in that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so one thing, again, Coach Shadi has shown that he can use the requisite talent by moving guys around the field, get them in a position to make, big plays by making competent plays. Because it's like kind of lamenting back from the past regime. It's like every time we try to put CD in motion, we try to, throw that little screen, that wide receiver screen. It never goes anywhere. Everybody knows where it's going. It's no creativity. It's no imagination when we put guys in motion. Now you're doing that. He can go two or three different guys who get you 20+ yards at any drop of a hat, and they're only going to get sharper with time. So that's something that I just really like was going forward. So the reason why that's important is because with Jaden Blue, it's another guy who, again, you can line up and be our poor man's. What's my man for the Steelers? Help me out. Steelers old freaking do everything running back. What's his name?
Le'Veon?
Le'Veon. He can be our poor man's Le'Veon in some regards because he can catch the ball. He can run routes. He's fast. So we got this Swiss Army knife of a running back who needs to mature a little bit. Sounds like that I'm ready to unleash. So I'm very much looking forward to have him out there with the veterans and kind of learn, just how to be a professional. Because he from where I'm from. He from we say Acres Home, Texas, right there in H-Town. So he got some NIG in him. I already see him. If you follow him on social media, it is what it is. But there's certain things he got to put together and mature a little bit. So I totally understand what I'm looking at when I look at Jaden Blue. But as far as we talking, going against New York with their front four, that's very stout. I'm looking back to what the Commodes, as JC says, did to him last week. They gave him 2 bills and 20 more on the ground. I'm just saying, 220 on the ground, man, and that's crazy. So also from a standpoint of Jaden Daniels, 19 for 30 for 233 yards in the air. So they giving that thing up in the middle. They giving that thing up top. So, I mean, I'm going to be honest, man. I expect my Cowboys to do much of the same because unlike other people, I'm not very high on Washington like that. I think they had a great Jaden Daniels had a great rookie campaign, but I think, man, you got to earn it in the East. I mean, they went all the way to the NFC final. So I can't give them too much pushback, but I think that may have been more of a blip than an actual trend for this football team. And also going to the other side of the field, Russell Wilson, listen, man, 17 for 37. If he's throwing 37 passes, I like that. I'm sorry. Russell Wilson is nowhere. He's just a name at this point, from my standpoint. So the inaccuracy throwing for 168, no touchdowns. Yeah, I don't fear these guys at all. So going back to what I was saying to start off, my expectation changes with new data. With me seeing new things, I expect new things. Now, you can't show me this great performance week 1, and we not go to the El Gigantes and whoop some ass. I expect to whoop their ass. I'm going back to the
that's the clip. That's the clip I was waiting on right there.
They done gave me something I can start talking with my chest again.
Yeah.
I was just like, hey, man, I hope Cooper Rush can put a few drives together so we don't get blown out.
We should beat their ass.
Beat that ass, belt to ass, man.
Belt to ass.
Listen, man. Oh yeah, I got a prop. So I gave my team a more victory pass for game 1. I'm only allowed 2 of these a season, so Cowboys don't piss me off. I'm not taking no excuses.
I like it.
More victory pass, 2 a season. So I gave it away week 1. I'm giving the goods away too quick. But I really did like what I saw last week, and not from a fanboy perspective, from a competent team perspective. So if you show me that shit game 1 against the defending champs, I expect nothing but a solid performance all the way around. I'm not talking about we barely get them in the fourth quarter, because as we know, we used to whooping the Giants' ass. I mean, when the last time the Giants gave us a game?
I mean,
it's been a while, man.
Yeah,
early
I want to say the streak.
OBJ days.
I mean, it's when
been a while.
When your team is in transition, right, and sometimes the team can be in transition because of a new coach.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's what a coach does when a team is in transition personnel wise, is so critical. And again, not to belabor the point, but so far so good. In terms of Schottenheimer's influence, I trust me, I was looking for something to complain about. And I mean, I really liked the way that, he managed the game. That's very, very important for a team in transition, is to get something out of your coach. And boys, I think we might be on our way to being able to say, hey, man, we got a coach that helps us actually.
Absolutely.
He actually helps us. And back to what Clip was talking about. Yeah. I mean, as good as that front is, yeah, man, the Redskins, the Commanders, they kind of gashed them.
Yeah, they gave it to them.
That they're not better run defenders up front. We know they're dynamic pass rushers, but it's kind of surprising to me that they're not better in the run game. And outside of Daniels, I'm not impressed with DC's run game.
Absolutely not.
They don't really have anybody that scares me, and they lost Eckler.
Yes, they did.
That hurts. I feel bad for the kid. He's a good player.
Yeah.
And he's definitely going to be a big part of what they do. But yet and still, they were able to run that thing. And so I think that, certainly, film over facts, like my man, the great Rich Walker used to say, film over feelings, rather. And there's got to be some areas in there, man, they can exploit and get the run game going, man. We said it time and time again. EAE, everything affects everything. The thing about when you don't have a run game, it actually hurts your passing game.
100%.
Because you're not loading the box. You're able to, we always say there's two ways to defend the pass: rush or cover. Okay. Good teams really want to do both. You want to have the personnel to do both. But when you're not, when you got 6 in the box and you're getting away with it, it's no problem. You're not having to run blitz, right? You're dropping a lot of premier athletes, a lot of NFL defensive backs into coverage, which that helps your pass defense, i.e. lack of run game hurts your passing offense. So
yes,
got to be committed to stick with it. And I want to say, I know they're going to have a pitch count on Blue. He's had some ball security issues. He's not the biggest guy. He's kind of Rico Dowdell-esque, but I think he's got a little bit more juice topside than Rico. I think he's got
no doubt.
that breakaway speed.
No doubt.
Yeah, that breakaway speed that you're looking for, which teams, covet in a running back. I've always said you're not going to see running backs go high unless they got some juice. They're not gone are the days of, a Leonard Fournette, all due respect to Leonard Fournette, of a guy like him going, second or third overall. You're going to be looking for a guy like a LaDainian Tomlinson, somebody like that that's got sprinters type speed that you're going to take high. The good news is that you can find those guys later. We talked about it last year, finding guys in the 4th round. The Tracy kid for the Giants, 4th round draft pick, and he's a competent runner. I'm just hoping that we can see something out of Blue. I think this is a guy that you saw a run game, that was generally a plotting, deliberate run game, solid, okay, if unspectacular. But, you see Sanders getting fetched by a linebacker, and you're like, man, what's the missing element?
Yeah.
The missing element is a guy like Blue. So we're going to need it, man. Hey, like they say, hey, man, this is the bigs now. All right, time to grow up. This ain't high school anymore. All right, this ain't college anymore, man. It's the bigs. It's time to grow up, and it's time to stay. You're expected to step in and perform. Screw all that growing pains crap, And so I want to see him on the field. I want to see him get more touches. I think everything else was pretty good with the offense in terms of their design, but that to me is the component that they're lacking. Is that home run threat?
Yeah, pal.
Yeah, there it goes. I mean, because to put things in juxtaposition, we got plenty home run hitters on a wideout. Like that's, you got 3 guys that hit their head on the goalpost at any given moment. With Turpin, with CD, and with Pickens.
No doubt.
So we need some of that some of that balance coming out that running back room. And it seems right now, I mean, we got a competent counsel right now, but we don't have a burner. We clearly saw, again, you got a breakaway touchdown, you get hawked down by a 4'6" linebacker, man. That just can't happen, man. I'm sorry. That can't happen. So, you know what I mean? So I know it's kind of being nitpicky, but like you're supposed to hit your head in the goalpost in a situation like that. And Blue can be that young blood to do that for us. You know, and again, we don't have to use him so much. What JC just was lamenting to, we're having ball control issues. I mean, you know, just something he has since Texas. He will fumble from time to time. So obviously he won't be our bell cow, and we don't need him to be, because you know I like what I saw. Sans that fumble week 1 against, you know, the defending champs. At the end of the day, I like what I saw. So if we can just stay competent, keep that ball, you know, secured, and then bring in our big home run hitter, man. I like what I can see going forward, because as we saw, the commodes get that thing up in that middle. So we got a lot of opportunity today to go and reintroduce ourselves. Shout out to Hove, you know, with our our passing prowess, CD not dropping passes, and also showing that we can tote that thing up the middle too. So
I think Big Jake gonna work today too, man.
What'd you say now?
I think Big Jake got an opportunity to work today too. First,
okay.
I think
I'm looking forward. I mean, we got everything.
He's another cat. You talking about hit your head on the goalpost, cat? That's a cat that can make, you know, and you know, we talked about it. You know, when Jake came on the scene, Jake plays with an attitude, man. Jake got some dog. You know, when he looks, you know, as consistent as Jason Witten was. I mean, you could almost see Jason Witten falling down when he caught the ball. Jake looks to make a play. You know what I'm saying? Jake looks to make a play. I mean, he got that get off me. You know, he's got some wiggle to him. He's got some sneaky speed for a big cat. I can see Jake doing some work, man. You know, I certainly would like to see them establish some run game. To your point, Cliff. You know, particularly with a little bit of you know, some film that we saw from the Commanders giving it to him in the run game. And if we can establish that, I think the belt to ass will happen, right? Because you know, if that's the thing where you're able to establish and hit some plays in the run game, you know, with what Dak has to work with in the 3 wideouts and Big Jake, you know, sprinkle in a little schoolmaker every now and again too. Dak really has some weapons to work with, and you know, if they can't, you know, if it's a cat and mouse and we get things going in that run game, and perhaps Blue gets in, touches the ball, rips off a big play, or you know, just rips off a big play or what have you, then it could really open up some things. Can we? And I wanted to touch something before we move off, because you made a point, Cliff, about Russell Wilson, and the point that you made, or the statement that you made, was, I think at this point now he's just a name, right? I want to very quickly expound on that. I think Russell Wilson is now the dreaded W word in professional sports. I think Russell Wilson is washed.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he has gone the way of 2019. No, excuse me. Yeah, 2020 to 2023 Zeke name. And it happens. You know, guys just get to that point. And you know, can he still zip it a little bit? Sure, but he just does not look like the guy who, for so many years in Seattle, had command of what's going on out there. You know, in games past, you know, Dallas played some really good games against him when he was with one of which was a Dak Prescott-led win in a playoff game, comeback win at that. You know, you had a fear in the Russell Wilson of old when he ran, you know, his Richie Cunningham looking ass out there. You had a fear that he was going to, like, God, man, we got, because he was going to make a play. He's like, you just had this healthy fear that he was going. It was almost Rodgers-esque. It was like, damn it, Russell's got the ball. He's got a little bit of time. This dude's going to make a play. You just don't have that. And it's not been there even before he got to the Giants. It wasn't evident, you know, there in the end in Denver. It wasn't evident certainly in Pittsburgh, and it wasn't evident in week 1. He looked as lackluster, and I think he's just his best days, and I think even not even his best days, his productive days are past him. So circling back to your point, Clip, of the expectation, given with what we saw of these Dallas Cowboys against the world champs, even as I talk myself through this point and thinking about yours, I think they should go out and beat their ass. And them not doing so, or them struggling, and we need a Brandon Aubrey, 57-yarder to beat him.
Yeah.
I'm glad he's capable of doing that, but I don't want to see an effort where that's needed to beat this team. So I just wanted to expound a little bit on that Russell Wilson point that you made about him being just a name. I just think going into this matchup, it's advantage Dallas at the QB spot.
Absolutely. And this last little part before we go into the to predictions, we got about 5 minutes left in the show.
Sure.
And so y'all again, man, y'all hit the like button. If y'all not, y'all tripping. Y'all big tripping. Listen, man, when you played on 4 teams in 4 years, that tell you everything you need to know, man. You in Russell Westbrook territory, as far as I'm concerned.
Great analogy. Great comparison.
It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the marquee. Russell Wilson is officially watched. I like it. Shout out to working the back room. So, all right, man. So
I love it.
It's the reason why people saying should Jackson Dart be starting by now already. So skipping over Jameis Winston. So they seeing what we seeing. Like it ain't too much. Well, there's no magic left, in that story. It's just a guy in waiting until you put the guy who you really want up there. All right, we said a lot, man. It's been a good show. So let's land it properly like we always do. We don't hide behind predictions. We were all right last week in the sense that our Cowboys did take that L. Our scores weren't too far off, I don't think. Y'all can remind me in the chat. But let's do it, man. This week, let's go about a minute and a half, 2 if you can. JC, go ahead, kick us off. What do you see going today?
Well, I think you guys, when you touched on Russell Wilson, and let's be honest, the recipe, the formula was that great defense in Seattle, and them being close, it being a close game, and Russ would make plays at the end.
Yes, sir.
And it was supposed to be the same thing in Denver. Denver had a stout defense. They're quarterback away, and you saw it unfold. The decline of Russ. He did okay for a couple of games in Pittsburgh, and again, same shit. Good defense. That's always been Pittsburgh's philosophy. Quarterback will make some plays for you at the end of the game, a la Roethlisberger. And yeah, you don't see that with him anymore. And I'm a little bit surprised that they haven't gone to Jackson Dart right off the bat. But I don't even know if they've got him. I don't know if they might have Jameis as the second string guy. And maybe Dart's having some adjustment issues. He might be having some adjustment issues that we don't know about. We're not up there in that New York City, and we don't see the thing on a day-to-day basis. I think that for this game, it's again, come out and be deliberate. I like what you guys talked about in terms of hitting that A gap, the 1s and 2s, Playboy. They did really well running inside, and I think, again, we talk about our guard center combo, right? I think that's starting to look really, really good, really, really, really good. I think that's going to be the strength of the team eventually. The Cowboys have always invested in offensive line, always, and they're doing it again. With all those number 1 picks that they have up there. Beebe was a 3rd, but still, they're investing in that thing. And that's going to pay dividends. We take for granted having Dak, very good quarterback. We take for granted having a good offensive line. Again, you want to talk about quarterback and offensive line? Ask the Giants about that. All right? It's not something that you could take for granted. So I think the thing today is to come out and not be conservative. I think you want to come out and you want to hit them with everything you got. All right? But, as my man Juan Gonzalez used to say, keep and continue. Keep going and continue. Keep it continue, man. Do what you did last week in terms of game plan. Run that bitch inside, man, and stick with it. Stay with it. Williams he's not done yet. I think there's still a little something there. He could be a functional guy that you can augment with Blue and with 40 ounce. Not really high on Sanders at this point, but they haven't cut him yet. So I'm thinking make some plays in the passing game, a little bit of shock and awe early on. And I'm going to go 28-17. Cowboys get a win. We might see a little bit of Jackson Dart today if he's truly second string. I think Dable might just say, all right, man, enough of this. Let's just go with it. But then again, he might wait, to just start another game and do that. I feel real good about our chances of being able to contain and harass Russell Wilson. Neighbors is the guy that you really, really worry about. Like I said, Slayton's good. The slot guy's good. They have no tight end, and I don't know why they haven't addressed that. But this is one the Cowboys should win, and they should win somewhat handily. I'm going to go 28-17 Dallas.
All right, D. Brown, it's on you.
Clean and concise. I think Dallas offensively, I think the big play ability through the air, I think they should attack them. I think I would fully expect them, because of the difficulties they got in the back end, to really hit these guys with that wide receiver group. We talked about, as well as the tight ends, carving up in the middle of the field. So I think it could really set up well for Dallas to get on them early, likely through the air. And if they're, able to contain the Russell Wilson-led offense, and you get up to maybe 3 scores, like a 14, 17-point lead, certainly in the first half, and then close the show and shorten the game with the run game, right? And you start really pounding, just letting the offensive line get off. And you mentioned the investment, Joey, in the offensive line. Shout out to Tyler Smith, who just got the big extension yesterday. So shout out to him. I think he's going to be a stud for a long time, and good for Dallas and being proactive and extending him. Where should that have happened before now? I digress. So, in terms of the score, I like Dallas. I like the shock and awe point too, Joey. I like Dallas to get on them early, shorten the game with the run game late, closing the thing out. I like a 31-17 score, Dallas.
God damn it, man. You damn near 2 field goals in it. I got 31-13. I don't see them scoring 2 touchdowns. I just don't. I don't see Russell Wilson having that in him. Neighbors is, obviously their biggest weapon, but he's still a young boy. I think we shouldn't have any real issues with this team whatsoever. I think this is going to be our coming out party, man. I think this, again, last week showed me a lot. It showed me that we can come on the world champions and start putting some, points up early. So I'm going to expect that till I don't see it no more. So if that's the case, if we're that potent of an offense, we should be putting foot to ass today. That's for sure. So I'm not going to go 40 burger yet. And that burger's waiting right now.
It's right now.
Still salivating over there. It's still matriculating. But now, again, 31-13. I think we go early and often. I think that once we get up early, I think we'll start to see a lot of more work from our running back room, because I just think that'll give a lot of opportunity to do so. Because, listen, this time 3 weeks ago, people were saying the Cowboys were the worst team in the division. Now, after, when we got new updated information, they see that ain't the case no more. We there to wreak havoc. Also, from our defensive standpoint, is Deron Bland hurt?
Yes, Deron Bland. Yeah, he's out.
Okay. That's kind of what we're used to, though.
He's day to day.
Okay.
He's out today, but they think he can come back next.
He had a mishap in practice on Monday, and like Joey said, he's a day-to-day thing. So hopefully he can get it back much sooner than later, because I thought he played pretty well. Week 1.
So we're kind of used to playing one man down back there. I think we'll be fine with Diggs. Diggs look fine game 1. Any deficiencies I don't see. Listen, man, I love what I saw from Jalen Carter first game. I'm hoping to have more of that, where we pushing boys back, have them on their heels. I don't think this team poses no major threat to threaten that part of the field for us, plug in that middle. I doubt we see Mozzie in the game. I don't know if they're gonna cut him or what. But with all that being said, I just don't see any area that is concerning to me. Obviously, our linebackers, more of question marks. I wouldn't say a worry. So I don't see anything that the Giants have a offensive advantage over us whatsoever. So again, 31-13, belt to ass. Let's get it. So all right,
you're the better team. You should win. You got better guys. You should win.
That's it.
You're the better team.
Well, all right, guys, good show, man. Hope you guys at home are liking what you heard. The Cowboys should be putting belt to booty today out there at
BTB.
Yep. Belt to booty. So you guys again hit that like button, subscribe if you are new to the Pass the Joint channel, and also to over on our world at Hoop Jargon. And I ain't have no. See, I'm slacking this morning because see you got yours. I'm gonna have to in spirit. Straight no chasing.
Straight no chasing. Room temperature, no cut, no ice.
There you go, man. I'm slacking, man. Slacking on my macking.
Go Cowboys.
Go Cowboys. All right, y'all. Y'all be cool.
Peace. Go Cowboys.